Barry's back in the Cluttered Corner.
How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you. Now, tell us, you've become an entrepreneur and a business owner,
I
as if you
have.
weren't already.
I have.
What you do?
I acquired a music venue in Amarillo, Texas.
Brave man.
Well, yeah, I didn't know that when I did it.
What's the name of it?
Hoots Pub.
Hoots Pub. And where is it?
It's on 2424 Hobbs in Amarillo, Texas.
All right, 2424 Hobbs. So, are you up and running? Are you having folks in?
We're up and running. We're up
Good.
and running. We had Chris Knight not too long ago, and Coup de Grace filmed a new video in there.
Wonderful.
It's been quite a thing.
How often will I see Casey Berry there?
I try not to. I've done some promotion for a long time, and obviously that's the scratching the back and helping everything out. But I try to take two jobs and separate them and not blur the line.
Okay, so there's Casey Berry, the singer-songwriter.
Sure.
And there's Casey Berry at Hoots Pub.
Sure.
Well, that's very smart.
It seems to work better. I don't know if it's just me not wanting to go, hey, I'll do this for you if you'll do this for me.
Yeah, which is not good.
No, I would rather those relationships stay separate.
I think that's very smart. Well, good luck to you. I hope you have lots of fun and lots of crowds.
Thank you.
So, let's talk about Blood of the Lamb.
All right.
This is not what we would call a cheerful song.
Yeah, well, it's you hear it and you think, 80s heavy metal, but it's not really. It's not the Sabbath type thing. It's a song about grace.
Right.
And I was real excited to get to tell people what the song's about, because the lyrics don't necessarily actually convey that unless you kind of read between the lines.
Or really listen, and not everybody does.
Sure. This song, obviously growing up in Amarillo, that's the Bible Belt, and we all went to church growing up as kids, whether we wanted to or not. It was put your tie on.
It's what you do.
It's what you do. But I spent some time out in Phoenix also, and they have these big mega churches also. But you go in on Sundays and only about 5 rows are filled. So it kind of gives you the realization that we're real fortunate that at least we have that opportunity, so I was sitting with my daughter one time. I used to go pick her up from theater camp, and we would go over to this Denny's that was right around the corner, and we would sit down and eat, and she'd tell me about theater camp or whatever, and a guy came in who was under the influence.
Mm-hmm.
And so, being a father, I scooped her up and I grabbed her and I said, let's get out of here. And I get her outside and she's like, what are we doing? Because she could obviously tell that I was flustered. Right. She wasn't worried about it, but and so I just said, well, that guy just wasn't a very good guy. And she turned to me just straight face and she said, you've been teaching me that Jesus loves us all. And so I took the two scenarios and kind of mixed them and made this character that doesn't find Jesus till it's too late in his life, and maybe he came from a California or an Arizona or somewhere that they don't get raised in the church, and they don't find it until somebody brings it to them, and by then it's already too late in their life.
Well, it's very interesting that your daughter, how old was she then?
She would have been, I believe, 6 or 7.
That's pretty interesting that she said, "Hey, Dad, wait a minute."
Yeah, she's smart as a whip, and I probably don't make it to the pews as much as I should, but she always does, and so she grabs onto those lessons, and I'm proud of her.
Well, sure, that's great. You mentioned jokingly that people say it's a 80s heavy metal record, it is a little harder sounding and a little edgier than some of your other things. Did you think that was necessary to convey the meaning of the song?
No. Okay, so the way I wrote the song, it had a real Dave Alvin, Tom Waits feel to it, and it's a real slow version, man. And I could never play it in the shows because it would just completely interrupt the show. I mean, it was just the slow version is meant for acoustic. Hey, I want your attention.
Right.
Version. And so, but we kept wanting to play it in the shows, so we kind of came up with a little groove to it, and so we get out to Keith Gaddis's house, and he brought in a guy named Audley Freed, and Audley Freed was the original guitar player for the Government Mule with Wayne, Warren Hayes, and he was, you know, he played with the Black Crowes for a while, and he's currently with Sheryl Crow. And he goes over and sits on his guitar and he fixes my groove, so to speak. You know, a guitar player shows me how to do it, and that's kind of where that came from. But the actual take of the guitars, the drums, and the bass on the record, that's one take.
Wow, that's great. That's real rock and roll.
And I don't know that they intended that or not. You know, after he figured out the lick, everybody made their charts or whatever. They went in there and they turned the recorders on, and on the record it's like 6 minutes long, and at the end of it you can hear Keith Gaddis laughing. Just because it was the end of the day, they were tired.
Yeah.
And then you have two major guitar players who just got to, you know, kind of guitar geek out on a song.
On a song. Now tell me this. When you set out on stage and it's you, do you feel funny knowing it's not the people who were on the record?
No. I mean, you know, there's obviously, you know, a Michael Jordan in basketball, and there's these musicians that are just incredibly talented. And so, you know, we try as a band to bring our band up to what they did, and we look at it that way, you know. And eventually, once you learn it like the record, then you kind of turn around and you make it your own, and you feel that. But you don't want to take so much away from the person that bought a ticket to come see you because they heard the record. You want them to get what they paid for.
I love that you said that.
And
that
so,
is great, Casey. Yes, you do.
As a songwriter, the minute I go into the studio, the creativity, or once we lay it down, the creativity part of it, or my art of it, you know, that's done. I've already committed to that, and I've had some songs that I've gone back and redone and this and that, but for the most part, now I'm putting out a product that I want people to enjoy, and so, you know, they want to hear the way it was played on the record, and that's why they came to see you.
Right.
So we recreate that, and have some outstanding musicians in my band, and they don't falter on that, and they're great. You know, my guitar player went to South Plains, and he at no point, you know, when he heard that Keith and Audley were playing guitar on the record, he's not one of those guys that says, I don't want to play on the record. He's like, no, I want to hear what they do.
I want to hear what they do, yeah. Well, that's great.
So.
Well, good. Well, I appreciate your explaining it, because it is a little different kind of process that we don't get to hear a lot about.
Sure. You know, and there's, you know, there's bands, and with my band, I could cut a record, and it would be great, and they've all got these really creative minds and souls, but you know, it's just so much more cost efficient to bring in guys that's what they do.
Yeah, great. Well, if people want to find out where you're playing, where they can get the record, what's going on with you, what do they do?
They go to CaseyBerry.com.
CaseyBerry.com. Simple, straightforward. Do it.
That's it, and it'll take them to the Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and
You're everywhere.
I'm everywhere. You know.
Great.
If they want to get a hold of me, it's just 806. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, well, good. CaseyBerry.com. Blood of the Lamb is the current single, and thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.